in the history of our society. Different was never synonymous with equality. We are what we repeatedly do. Greatness then is not an act, but a habit. A quote from Aristotle. You know, I grovel at the way labels sometimes sculpt our perception. For centuries, we've dined at the table of fables, so my question is, how do we get rid of these labels? Like the banners and seasons of schools who committed NCAA infractions. Our thoughts are what lead our actions. Erase what is set and set a new standard, like policies. Honestly, this thing about labels, we carry them like brand names. They could be so recognizable. When you remove the wording, everything all looks the same. You know, it's crazy how our minds trained. Most people call it conditioning. With this positioning, we believe that what we see is true. We could be prisoners of our own mind. Think like a person serving 25 to life. Speech sound like they've been denied parole. Can you hear the defeat in their tone? You know the first step a kid make with learning differences? It's trying to internalize why they're being singled out. I asked those same questions as a kid. I was labeled with a mild learning disability. So I know firsthand the feeling of being classified. I can remember asking my mom, why'd I have to leave the class for reading? Am I not normal? My mom instilled in me great confidence by saying, no, you are exceptional, and you can do anything you want. Don't let this label be an asterisk by your legacy as to why you don't hoist up your greatness like MVP athletes after a record-setting season. Well, my mom did. Shaped how I maneuvered through my school years. Parents play a huge role in the mindset of these kids. However, I don't see the same as I observe the next generation being introduced to this culture. Their peers devalue their opinion, which makes them feel incomparable. In addition, making them less likely to share their insight. Internalization is a segue to developing self-defeating behavior. When a person hears something long enough, it's only a matter of time before it becomes a reality. Let me share a story of how labeling students by their learning differences limits their vision for success. When I was teaching at a school, a student of mine was taking a test. Her anxiety greeted her like security, preventing her from getting backstage to the show of her favorite artist. Her insecurity stepped in. Like a mediator, to prevent her from fighting for her success, she began to walk to the areas of defeat, giving a speech saying, this is hard. I will never make it in college. I'm just not smart like the other students. Her internalization of her IEP made her feel inadequate. And completing work seemed more complicated, like explaining coding to a group of kids with no prior knowledge for the first time. Sometimes labels can strip away the identity of a person with learning differences, make their ambitions feel unwelcomed, like minorities walking through the front door of a diner during the 60s. As devastating as it was for me to hear her say these things, I still encourage her not to doubt herself, because thoughts and actions are parallel. This story is a sample of the widespread problematic issues these students face. This culture has a way of conditioning kids to overlook the power of perseverance. When things are difficult, they've become accustomed to leaning on their excuses, like it's too hard. I tried my best, or I just didn't understand it, and never get challenged to explain those statements. The reality of this conditioning results in 67% earning $25,000 or less per year, and only 41% completing post-secondary degrees. These numbers are eye-opening when thinking of these kids transitioning into adulthood. Teachers in schools are surprisingly enabling these individuals by providing modified grading scales, accepting low-quality work, and not challenging them to do better or at least provide their perspectives in class. Because they will sit silently as if there's evidence but no lawyer present. Subconsciously, they are conditioned to not have a voice in this world, and that increases their value to not have a lack of effort. My sociology background allows me to research and analyze this environment. My passion for creating this speech is produced by once wearing this label like paraphernalia of your most prestigious university. My change management background equips me with the tools and knowledge to change the trajectory of this culture. For change to be effective, a person must first buy into the change, hold themselves accountable, work through the resistance, and stay consistent until goals are achieved. I have a friend. He had challenges with reading and writing. He knew he wasn't satisfied with his current state and wanted better. That was his buy-in. He made steps by reading newspaper articles every day, finding hard words to pronounce and looking them up. That is how he managed his change. As of today, he's a college graduate, a business owner, and success story. The psychological aspects starts with building confidence and providing realistic results and perspectives. Life isn't about modifying productivity. What we produce as a citizen, employee, and owner will be evaluated in its rawest forms. So why allow it in schools? Ending grading modifications will give students real measurables of their contributions. For this culture to shift, the teaching must change. Teachers must be informed about what accommodations are needed. Believe it or not, most of them aren't. And that prevents them from effectively preparing their students for success. These label students need to be held accountable for not trying with consequences. There is no real fear of failing if they know they can't fail. Finally, parents must not handicap their kids at home by making excuses for him and not holding her to the highest standard. Also, working with my anxiety student more on areas of improvement will increase the success rate of our academic career. True success comes when everyone is marching to one beat and one sound. I'll blur the lines between being poetic and being profound. My overall goal is to break new ground. In the process, diminish the stigma and establish a new culture. As influencers, it's important that we aid their dreams. They can see their accomplishments from a distance. However, attaining it takes persistence. We all have untapped potential and capability. Just because a person learns different doesn't mean they need to be labeled with a learning disability. Thank you.